It's deceivingly challenging, right? It's a deceivingly challenging thing. Just because we sit all the time, if we do sit all the time, it doesn't mean that this shape is also strong, right? That hip flexor that needs to lift the thigh still needs some work. Okay, let's do the other leg, see how it goes. Make sure the hips are level, the feet are down. We hinge forward so we can interlace the fingers. Lift your left heel up off the floor, and it's going to help pop the knee up a little bit higher, and you're going to bring the hands over the shin. Bend your elbows to help lift the knee close. Ooh, my right foot lifted, I have to keep that down, and without rounding the spine. And then lower the toes down as you just hinge forward, and then rise up again, elbows bend. You really need to have those arms working to lift, and then lower the toes down. And then once more, lifting up, keeping the tailbone from tucking under, keeping the head aligned over the shoulders best you can to keep that knee close. And then look, no hands, either bringing the hands out to the side or holding onto the chair. Keep your head over the shoulders. Feel the crown of your head lengthening up, and keep working that hip close towards the belly. Keep lifting the knee close towards the chest. And that's your muscles, your hip flexors strong, working to bring that leg in place. Belly button feels strong, drawing into the spine. And then exhale, step the foot down. Give your knees a little shake, knock in and out, just to kind of shake up that circulation too. And coming back to the right, we're gonna pick up that right leg again. Cake, right? Because we just kind of prepped it. Pick up the leg, and you might have to hold your hand under the right thigh. Move the knee out to the side a little bit as you keep the right foot flexed, and place that right outer ankle on your left thigh. So figure 4 leg. You might have had to use your hands to help get the legs there. If by doing this, you kind of hunched again, it's really about keeping good posture here, then you might have to hold on to the seat of your chair, lean forward, and send your right buttock and thigh back a little bit. And that might feel nicer on the knee as well, and it might actually lower down a bit if it was a bit higher too. If your knee doesn't look like this and it's up here a little bit higher, that's okay, right? Like, I'm a little bit more flexible than you perhaps, and so the knee is here. If it's a little bit higher, as long as the knee feels okay and you're not rounding in the back, then we're working to open maybe some tight muscles around the hip. So once your leg is in this position, you can hold on to the seat, or just rest your hands on the thighs if that feels good too. Sit up really tall first. You're going to feel the sitting bones rooting down, and that foot on the floor is also pressing down to keep you stable, right? What a difference. If you don't think about the left foot, it's kind of lazy. You're just paying attention to here, right? But as soon as you press the left foot down, you're like, ooh, a reminder of the rest of your body firming to help support you. This is a lot, then this is where you are. If you can go a little bit deeper because you have a little bit more opening at the hips, or you want to try, hinge from your hips. I'm going to show you from the side here because this is important. I'm bringing my chest forward. I'm not leading with my head to get there. So keep your head aligned over the shoulders and lead with your heart forward, right? You see that my back hasn't rounded, but I'm feeling this. I'm really feeling this in my right outer hip, inner thigh. The back of the thighs feels it too. I'm keeping my right foot flexed. Don't forget to breathe. Inhale, exhale, and then inhale again to rise up. We'll release the right foot down. Maybe feel a nice difference between the legs. Second side. Pick up the left leg. You might have to hold the thigh out to the side a little bit to give it room for the left outer ankle to rest over the right thigh. Same organization here, right? You can kind of send your booty back if you need to. Left thigh back a little bit more if the knee feels like it's hiking up a lot. Keep the left foot flexed. And maybe you're holding onto the seat of the chair, hands just kind of rest on the thighs. Remember, the right foot that's on the floor is grounding down. So as you press the sole of the foot down, you feel the whole right leg energized. Your hips can stay stable too. Inhale, tall spine. Exhale, start to hinge from the hips. I'm going to turn to the side again so you can see. Not leading with the head, leading with the center of the chest forward. And when you start to feel the singing muscles, the ones that are talking to you, take a moment to respond with breathing. So often when we do these types of practices, we're not used to stretching muscles that are not used to being stretched. then we mistake that in our heads for like, oh, this is pain. It's a type of discomfort, right? It's definitely not something that's a pleasant feeling, but we want to be careful that just because there's a little bit of discomfort, that we're not just immediately avoiding it. It's a little bit of that discomfort that helps to open what we need to open, right? So if you're in that discomfort and you've been breathing here with me for these few breaths already, and it feels a little bit less uncomfortable, then you're great. Then it's just muscles that need a chance to get some oxygen and breathe into it. If the discomfort is exactly the same as you stay in a pose, if you feel it at the joints or somewhere, then you know when to pull back, then come out of it, right? So if you start to feel in the meat of the muscle some dissipation, we'll rise up on our inhale and you can release the left foot down. So as I was saying, if you start to feel if you feel discomfort and it sustains, even though you're breathing calmly best you can, about 5 breaths, and it feels exactly the same and there's no change, then it's a good reason for you to pull back and take it easy and ease up if you can. And again, the reminder is if you're in that, oh, it's time, I'm a little uncomfortable, but you breathe and you start to notice, okay, it's gotten a little better, it's getting a little better, then that's how we know it's the good kind of discomfort. And there is a lot of good kinds of discomfort, right? The ones that help us respond to some stress in our lives. Of course, we're going to have stress in our lives, but it's how we respond to it. So we train ourselves with the good kind of discomforts to say, it's okay, there's a thing, it's a little uncomfortable, but if I can remember to breathe, know that it gets a little bit better with each breath, and then I can make a better choice instead of panicking, right? With agitation otherwise. Okay, almost done. Bring the feet a little bit wider apart, like this, and tilt your chest forward again. So at this point, hopefully your back is feeling good and the back of the thighs feel good too. And we're trying to get our bellies down somewhere between the thighs. It might just touch the thighs too, so the rest of the thighs, that's fine, but you want to make as much room as you can for the middle of the body to lower. And you can keep your hands resting on the knees and then let your head hang here. If your hands come down comfortably to the floor, then you can do that as well. And then once the chest is down a lot, then you can let your head hang here. And you'll feel the weight of your head. You might want to shake it out. Yes, shake it out. No. And then just notice how heavy your head can feel. Create a little bit of space here in your neck and cervical spine. Inhale and exhale. Press the feet first firmly to the floor. Then bring your hands up to the thighs if they were touching the floor. If your hands are already on the thighs, you're pressing against them to lift the chest up. I always feel very refreshed after something like that. And in our yoga practice, we often close with a gesture of the hands coming together, palms pressed. They're like prayer hands. I like to come to prayer hands here as a reminder of bringing together 2 halves, 2 things, right side with the left. And in this practice, mind with body. And then I bring that connection, thumbs closer to the center of the heart. And I'll close my eyes and perhaps you'll join me with your eyes closed. And one more opportunity to notice the breath, how it is right now. Perhaps it's a little bit different from when we first started noticing the breath. And in a short amount of time that we're able to experience a shift, a change of how the body feels and perhaps how the mind responds to the breath and how the body is moved. And it doesn't have to be any more than this. And you are perfect as you are. You are enough as you are. Sometimes we just need to remind ourselves of this. So taking the time out in our days, carving out a little bit of space for our self-care is so vital, so important. Thank you very much for sharing this practice. Namaste.